Today it's time to be doing some routine maintenance on our Blu Tech water filtration system, which means our filters and our water softening system. So it's been about 3 months since we installed this system and it's time to change the filters. One of the questions that I get a lot when people walk up and ask me about our system is not only how we like our system, which we love by the way, how it works and what kind of maintenance is involved in it. So today I'm going to do a quick video and show you how to change the filters, how to regenerate the water softener system, and how to sanitize the lines. Blu Tech has a product out now that you can sanitize all your water lines and your fresh water tanks. So because we're going to be using our fresh water tank for about 2 weeks here in the very near future, I'm going to go ahead and sanitize that. The RV is now a little over a year old. I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to go ahead and sanitize the water lines, show you how to do that, and show you how to sanitize your fresh water tank with Blu Tech's new system. Normal maintenance on your Blu Tech water filter is going to be to change these filters about quarterly, depending on how much water you're using. It's just the two of us using the water in this RV, so about once a quarter, once about every 3 months is where we're going to fall as far as changing our filters in our system. So what you can see came today is we have a complete filter kit to change these filters out. What we also have here today is Blu Tech's sanitizing solution, which would replace like doing it with bleach and going through that whole process of charging your lines with bleach water, letting them sit overnight. Same thing with your fresh water tank. With this sanitizing system that they have, we can get all that done in about 15 minutes and have a completely sanitized system. So I really like this, and we're going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to go ahead and regenerate. We're going to sanitize the softener as well, but then we're going to regenerate that. So the order that we're going to do this in today is I'm going to change out the first 2 filters in this, and I'm going to leave the last one out because we're going to use the canister of this last filter position to introduce the solution into our system. So let's go ahead and get that started. The easy way I have found to change these filters out is basically just flip this system upside down. And you're going to use the little tool that comes with the system to loosen these up. And they just go in these little holes here. And you're going to, I have a little water in there, so I'm probably going to get wet, but so we're going to change the longevity filter out, and these are all labeled, so you really can't mess it up. Just pull the canister off, and then we're going to replace with our longevity filter. And I'm a little over 3 months on this filter, and we've been to, I've lost track of how many places we've been to in the last 3 months. We've been everywhere from the state of Indiana all the way up the New England coast and back. Most of the campgrounds that we've been in, I think, has had pretty decent water. There's been a couple of them that's been kind of sketchy. So this is what the longevity filter or the sediment filter looks like after about 3.5 months. I have a neighbor here in the park that he's got a system like this as well, the Blu Tech system, and he just changed his, and I don't know where he was, but his was twice as dark as this. So it just depends on where you're at and what kind of water you're getting. So the easy thing is just to take the wrappers off of these. Seat it right back down in there. Drop the canister on. Tighten up the collar and snug it down. We're going to repeat that process with all 3. And like I said, because we're going to be doing the sanitizing and we're going to use this last position to do that, we're not going to put that filter in just yet. We'll do that last after we get all that done. So you can see the second position, which is your 0.2 micron. It doesn't look too bad. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be after almost 4 months, but we're going to replace that anyways. Again, just set it down in there, replace your canister. Give it a little snug. Like I said, the last one, we're going to go ahead and take the filter out. And then we're going to talk about how to use the sanitizing solution. Okay, so we're just going to set this aside for now, and we'll replace that filter when we get done sanitizing. So we're going to flip everything back over. Now, to sanitize your system, when I say your system, I mean the water lines in your RV, you're going to use 2 packets of this sanitizing solution from Blu Tech. So we're just going to simply open these up. Okay, dump both packets into the canister, and then we're going to replace this canister, which is in the last position, which is your tasty filter. Obviously I can't do this upside down with the liquid in there. So we're just going to screw that collar back on, snug it up a little bit. And then we're going to go over, hook the system back in, and we're going to charge the line. And then we're going to go inside, and I'll show you what that looks like from the inside to know when your solution is in through your plumbing and coming out your faucets. Okay, so now that I have the system all hooked back up, charged the line, you can see I have my water softener in line. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize that at the same time with the system. So all we have left to do now is go inside. I'll show you what it looks like to identify once you get the solution out the faucet. Okay, now when you're inside, all we're going to do is we're going to open up the faucet on warm so that we run this solution through the the hot and the cold water lines. So you just merely open that up. Okay, hopefully the camera's picking that up where you can see it starting to foam up. So I'm going to shut this one off, go turn on all the rest of the faucets till they foam up, and then I'm going to turn all of them on, let them run for about 15 minutes. Okay, so I let the water run on all the faucets on the inside in the kitchen and the bathroom, and I even ran some water through the washing machine. So everything on the inside should be sanitized. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and repeat the process. I'm going to fill up that last canister again, and I'm going to fill up my fresh water tank and let that sit for 15 minutes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that through the pump to start draining that tank. And I'm just going to let the water run through the pump, out the gray tank and out, so that I run everything through every water line that I have. So it's going to sanitize the pump and everything. And then once that's empty, I'm going to go ahead and fill up that freshwater tank one more time, flush it out, just dump it, and we should be good. So normally we keep fresh water in our freshwater tank when we're at a campground, even when we have city services, because you never know when those systems are going to go down or something's going to come up that you might need water and it's just not there. The campground that we're in now for a project that we're working on, November 1st, they're going to shut the water off. So we're going to go to our freshwater tank as of November 1st for about 2 weeks. They're just going to haul us water. So I wanted to get that sanitized before we do that. So this timing was really good for us. So how often should you sanitize your system? That's going to be entirely up to you. If you're a weekend warrior and you're putting your RV away for the winter time and not using it, it might be something you want to do first thing in the spring before you start using your RV for the season. Every year, if you're full-time, you may just want to do it depending on where you've been and what kind of water you've seen. For us, we're going to do it about annually, once a year, because we feel like with the filtration system that we have and the water softener, once a year should be good for us. And then all the other maintenance, as far as the water filter, that's going to be about quarterly, every 3 months. That's just a schedule we put ourselves on. When I saw the filters, when I took them off here, they didn't look as bad as I thought they were going to be, especially compared to my neighbor's when he did his. So it's going to depend on what kind of quality water you're getting during your travels and how much water you're using. So let's go out and let's get this water softener regenerated and replace that filter and button it up. So what is involved in regenerating the softener system? Very simple. The only product that you're going to need to do this, 26 ounces of table salt. You can get it at any grocery store, Dollar General. when you're out doing your grocery shopping. We always keep an extra one in the pantry just because we have a schedule now. Our phones will go off to tell me, hey, it's been 6 weeks, regenerate the softener. So we keep a bottle on hand or a can on hand. Your softener is going to come with an adapter, because what you're going to do, our first step actually is going to be just to lay this on its side, make sure it's drained. And I've got this pretty much drained, it's coming out a little bit yet. Drain all the water out. And you can do this 2 ways. The first step is going to be the same regardless of how you regenerate it. So you've got a red arrow on here that shows the direction of the water flow. So coming out of our filter, we come in here, we come out there and go back up into our RV. So what we want to do, the first step, is to back flush this system. So that's where this adapter comes in. So we're going to hook this adapter up to the garden hose, put it on so we can run the water in reverse, and we're going to run that for about 5 minutes. So we'll take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so we're simply going to screw this adapter onto the end of our garden hose, the quick connect that comes with it. We're going to plug this in to the softener in reverse, point it out in the grass here, and then we're just going to turn the water on, and we're going to let it flush for about 5 minutes. Now that the softener is all back flushed, I've got the system hooked back up to the filter as if I'm going to go back into the RV. Now, earlier I said there's 2 ways that you can do this regeneration. The first way is you can unscrew this top and then pour your salt directly down into the canister. Replace the cap, and then you're going to run your water for about 15 minutes at about 1/4 of the strength, not full bore, but about 1/4 of the way. You want to just basically have the water clear that canister and running down. The second way is the same way we did the sanitizer. You can pour the salt directly into that last canister, and then we're going to run the water for about 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get this salt all dumped in here, install the canister back in the filter. We're going to turn the water on and let it run for about 15 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, so how did pouring the salt in the last canister work out? After 15 minutes of the water running, I checked the canister to see how things were going, and I was still probably 3/4 of the way full. So I decided to just go ahead, dissolve that salt up in the canister, and just pour it right in. So let's take a look at the other option, and honestly, I think as far as time goes, I'm going to go back to the old method of just unscrewing the cap and pouring it in at that point. And I'll unscrew this real quick again and show you guys what it should look like, or what you can expect to see when you take this cap off. So once you take that off, you've got the siphon tube and everything in there. Now, the only thing that I will caution you is if you're pouring salt right into the top, is make sure that the threads and everything are rinsed off good. So when it comes time to rethread these and put that back in there, you're not going to bind up and cause yourself any issues, because the threads on the cap are plastic. So you don't want to booger them up in any way. So what I usually do is just kind of settle it down into the resin and turn it backwards. You'll feel it and hear it click in, and then go ahead and screw it in. So since I did that, what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and run the water again for about 15 minutes until I don't taste any salt, and put the system back together. The only thing that we have left to do now is go ahead and put the tasty filter back in. And so I'm going to do that now, and then I'm just going to hook the system up and let it run until I don't taste salt anymore. Go ahead and hook it back up to the coach, and we're done. And this whole process should take you about 45 minutes or so. When you're doing just filters or just doing a regen, it doesn't take any time at all. So you can see there's really nothing too involved in maintaining this system. It's just going to be filter changes and a regen. The regeneration for us is about every 6 weeks. Again, that's going to depend on how much water you're using. If you're traveling with a family and you're using a lot of water, you may be doing it as frequently as every couple of weeks. How do you know when it's time to regen? That's a question that I get a lot. And my answer, to them is, my wife will tell me when it's time to regen. She knows when the water's not as soft as it should be. But you can also get test strips and test it after it's regen, see where your levels are at. And then you can just take some test strips every once in a while and see where your levels are at. If the hardness is high, then you can go ahead and redo that. But trust me, if your wife is as fussy about her hair as mine is, they'll let you know when it's time. So for us, it's about every 6 weeks. So I'm gonna put this all back together, put the canister on, I'm gonna let the water run for about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna hook it back up and I'm done. So I appreciate you guys coming along and watching how this system and how this process goes, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.